Joe here with Joe's Disc Golf, and I've got a review for you today. The Rive is one of the newest discs to come out of Latitude 64. Originally teased way back in November of 2020, back when we were all locked indoors. This disc was the cause of much speculation, ranging from the unique King and Queen stamp to a new disc entirely. When Latitude 64 did announce not only a new disc, but a new line of plastic and a premium finish for it, the Trilogy community lost their minds. The amount of hype surrounding this news was sending the Facebook group into a tizzy. Rampant speculation surrounding the mystery discs and the new plastic was everywhere. In the end, we found out that the new plastic was called Grand Plastic, and the manufacturing process fell into a new line that Latitude 64 called the Royal Line. In the beginning, you couldn't even get your hands on one. The Royal Mystery Box came out in 2 different flavors. The first mystery box you got had 3 random discs in it, as well as the Faith, a putter, and the Rive, the beautiful, beautiful Rive. In the second mystery box, you received the Grace, an 11-speed driver, and the Trust, a 5-speed mid-range, as well as 3 random discs. In each box, you received a disc with a unique collectible stamp and 2 other Trilogy discs for the low price of $99 US. These boxes sold out in minutes. Unfortunately, yours truly was unable to get his hands on one of these on the day they were sold. But I was able to get my hands on the very sleek, gorgeous Royal Rive. Ain't she a beaut? And her twin sister. Beautiful, beautiful discs right here. I got them. What exactly is so special about the Latitude 64 Royal Line? According to Latitude 64, Royal Line takes disc golf quality one step further with the innovative NexEdge and NexFeel Technologies. Well, that is some great marketing speak right there. But Joe, what does that mean, I hear you ask? NexEdge and NexFeel are proprietary finishing and polishing techniques that Latitude 64 implements on their Royal Line. NexEdge removes the sharp flashing from the leading edge and from the bottom rim. This leaves your disc feeling buttery smooth, and who doesn't love a buttery smooth disc? I mean, this thing is gorgeous, and it does not slip out of my hands. Gone are the days of getting a brand new disc and grinding it smooth on some concrete, lest you tear your hand apart throwing with these sharp edges. Or maybe you're the kind of person who took a razor blade and some sandpaper to smooth out the sharp edge of the rim of the disc. This is legal provided you do not make significant changes to the weight or the shape of the disc. Get subscribed so you don't miss my how-to video on removing the flashing like a pro. NexFeel is a process in which Latitude 64 polishes the disc in a proprietary technique. This is supposed to enhance the feel and the grip of the disc. I will say that I've not felt a disc this smooth or polished ever. The closest thing to this that I know of is the gold line of discs by Latitude 64, or perhaps the Dimax line by Dynamic Discs. Both of these are made by Latitude 64. The polish on that line is pretty good. However, the Royal Line is a much more refined process, not to mention Gold Line still has the painful flashings. What about this new plastic, this Grand Plastic? What's so special about it? Grand is supposed to be the most durable premium plastic in the Royal Line. This would lead you to believe that there will be other plastic types coming for the Royal Line. While I like the premium plastics for my throwing putter, I prefer the softer plastics for my putting putters. By the way, there are still 3 more discs yet to be released, including the Trust, Grace, and Faith. Latitude 64 described the Grand Plastic as having a great grip that will not fail no matter the outside circumstances. It features a soft feel and a rigid rim with the perfect flex. I will say that the day I tested the flight of the Rive, it was a hot, humid day. Despite my hand being a bit sweaty, it never really felt like the disc was going to slip out of my hand like I've had issues with other plastics. I want to test this in the rain. If this performs as Latitude 64 says, it could be a game changer on the pro level. I mean, we saw everybody getting dumped on at DDO. Could you imagine if all of the Trilogy people had this in their possession right there, not letting that slip out? Could be huge right there. Now, the real reason that you're watching this video, the Royal Rive review, right here, beautiful disc. The numbers on this disc are a speed 13, glide 5, turn 0, and a fade of 3.5. This is a stable disc. Given that it is a 13 speed, you also need a pretty quick arm to get this disc to fly the way the rest of those numbers say it will. For those of you with a slower arm speed, this is a very overstable disc for you, but it could make a great headwind driver for you. With that in mind, the width of the rim is a bit more substantial. So if you have smaller hands or struggle with the width on higher speed discs, this is probably not a good fit for you. As I mentioned before, the feel of the plastic is unbelievable. They really have removed all the flashing from this disc. Well, most of the flashing. If you decide to run your hand backwards on the rim, you can still feel a little bit, but honestly, that will never ever happen. No matter what you do, your hand will always slide off the disc just like that. You're never going to be going backwards like that. I mean, it just won't happen. Outside of testing, I don't think I can think of a throw or technique that would cause this to be an issue. There's minimal flex with the actual flight plate of the disc. It is on par with the rest of the industry standard premium plastics. Because of the exact specifications of this disc manufacturing process, all four of the Rives I have the exact same dome. I mean, just look at this right there versus right there. There is no difference at all. Could be a coincidence, but considering I just received two Lucid Exact melt and stamped evaders with two wildly different domes, I mean, right here, look at that. These are the same disc. Look, boom, boom, both evaders, and you can see right here, the dome on both of these, very different. I highly doubt you'll see that much variation within the same run when it comes to the Rive. And speaking of differences, I noticed that the green Rive, this guy right here, was noticeably more stable than the blue Rive that I used for testing. With all things appearing equal, my conclusion is that there's something to do with the green plastic that makes the disc more durable than other colors. For testing purposes, I tried to throw both discs flat or possibly with a little bit of hyzer. For context, I do not have a 13-speed backhand. For the most part, I was able to get the disc to fly straight and dump hard, as you can see in the video. For reference, the hole that I'm throwing on is 416 feet. My backhand is landing on average 360 feet. I had U-disc and the accuracy topped out at about 14 feet. The green Rive was landing around 340 to 350, with the blue Rive going a little bit further at 360 to 370. On the forehand, I was able to get the blue Rive out to 390 and the green one out to 400. I put a little more hyzer on these, but overall, it was great. It was awesome. Now, if you're like me, and those numbers sounded familiar that I read off before, the 1350 3.5, they are the exact same numbers as another Latitude 64 disc. That disc is the Gladiator. The Gladiator is a great overstable distance driver that I use regularly in all of my rounds. Of course, I had to compare the Gladiator to the Rive. Just for fun, I threw in two other discs that I own that I thought would have similar flight paths to the Rive. I added the Raider, which is a 13.5 minus a half 3, and the Defender, which is a 13.503. These are both dynamic discs, and I know that I harp on the fact that you should not compare numbers between companies, even if they're manufactured by the same one, because they have different flight characteristics and testing measures. In this case, I've thrown both discs enough to know the flight path and patterns well enough to conclude that they fly similar to how the Rive should fly. And I also looked at online, they have flight patterns. They're very, very handy. As you can see, the Gladiator and the Blue Rive have pretty much the same flight patterns. The difference you can see here has more to do with the thrower and not being a robot with the exact same power and angle. And you can account for variations in the wind for that day. Just as a side note, the wind was blowing left to right at about 10 miles an hour. Sometimes it got down to about 5, and I tried to throw when the wind was down, but you can't predict that. Through my experience, the Raider is more stable than the Gladiator. Not by too much, but enough for me to notice, especially with full power drives. The green Rive acts more like the Raider than the Gladiator. Again, the only difference that I could find was the color. This is not the first time a different color of a disc is more stable than other colors, everything else being equal. Meaning you aren't comparing a dummy to a flat version of the disc or comparing different plastic types. I'm not the first to say this either. Steve, the Kid Rico, in an interview way back in 2014 with All Things Disc Golf had this to say. Is there any truth to the rumor that certain colors are more stable than others? He responded, yes, yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, it's true. Now, the site All Things Disc Golf has not had a new article posted since August 9th, 2016, leading me to believe that All Things Disc Golf is no more. Add this to the proof that the colors can affect the disc stability. When comparing the Defender to the Rive, the Defender is by far more stable than even the green Rive. And now for the big finish. Should you buy the Rive? The plastic feels amazing. Combine that with the lack of flashing on the discs, and this is a very, very tempting disc to buy. I'd be remiss if I did not mention that if you're a beginner or don't have a 13-speed arm, do not buy this disc. I mean, sure, yeah, you get something cool and you can hang it up on your wall. That's great. Or if you're looking for something into the headwind, that's great too. But if you don't have the arm speed, this is not a good disc for you. As demonstrated in the flight comparisons, the Gladiator and the Rive are basically exactly the same sans the plastic. I tried as hard as I could to find a difference between the discs and could not find one to justify a purchase for the overlap in your bag. If you want to replace the Gladiator or have a backup, then this is an excellent choice. If you want a disc that will hold a straight line and have a solid fade at the end, then the Rive or the Gladiator is for you. If you're looking to build out your bag with the same molds or very similar molds, I'd look into getting a green Rive, as this one definitely is more stable, and I'd grab one of these nice blue Rives here too, just because it's pretty. I do like the burst pattern on these, but this green one, this was a very difficult one to find in the grass. I will say that you better keep your eye on it and look very closely as to where it lands, because it can blend in really well, especially with this bursty looking pattern right here. I did not have any time to do the testing on the durability of the Grand Plastic versus the Opto Plastic. I will at this time take Latitude 64's word that they're approximately the same durability as Opto. They have no reason to lie to their customers unless they want to tank their company. As I use this disc, I will report back on how the Grand Plastic holds up. I give the Latitude 64 Grand Royal Rive the Joe's Disc Golf seal of approval. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to thank Treesus when you have a great tree kick, and if you get a less than favorable tree kick, reflect and repent, for you have transgressed against Treesus. I've been Joe, you've been awesome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I can't wait to see you all in the next video.